Okay, good morning and welcome to a Coach's Corner. If you can go ahead and please introduce yourself and tell us what it is that you do at university.
Good morning, Matt. I am Sophia Pearsall, and I am the activities coordinator at university.
Okay, and activities coordinator, I know that that hat is encompasses so much. Um, if you can briefly kind of describe what that means that you do at university.
Sure. Okay, so I think my biggest responsibility is part of my interaction with the students, selling them event tickets and their student IDs and their parking passes and their lockers. I'm there to share events and activities with them. I oversee clubs and help clubs facilitate the things they want to do, their fundraisers and their events. I oversee facility rentals and I assist teachers with field trips. And I work closely with SGA to help them pull off some of their events. Um, I feel like there's more, but I can't think of it right now. Um, yeah, that's about it.
And I know, I mean, we share an office,
Yes.
so I know from being in the office with you that your hand is really in everything. I mean, you're part of athletics, you're part of, like you said, every whether it's prom, whether it's homecoming, whether it's parking, whether it's scheduling transportation. I mean, you are a super important cog of university, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to get you on Coach's Corner because I wanted to reach out to some of the people that make university what it is. It's some of the blood, so to speak, of university. And university definitely wouldn't be what it is without Mrs. Pearsall. And
Thank you,
I know
Matt.
that you've been there since the day the door has opened. Actually, before the
I
door
was
has opened.
I was actually on that campus in April of 2010 before our doors opened. My office was in the gym.
Right, right. Why don't can you talk a little bit about what it was like opening the doors of University High School to that first student body and that experience?
It was amazing. It was amazing. Um, this was my first high school experience. I started in elementary school and then I went to middle school, and university was my first high school experience. And I was very nervous, teenagers. Um, but it was exhilarating. It was thrilling. It was like groundbreaking. We only had Deland and Deltona High, really. There's Pine Ridge, but that's kind of, in the back. It was so exciting to see new kids come on to a beautiful, brand new campus and just kind of evolve. I can't explain it in the sense like our first year, we had freshmen, sophomores, and juniors. And for them to come on campus, and it was a huge campus, nothing like other schools, to see their face, the excitement, and even the nervousness, and to see day by day for them to grow in their confidence on campus and just all around blossom. It's nice. I love, interacting with the students and seeing them evolve and grow and become aware of who they're becoming. I love it. So it was really, really, for me, a highlight, a blessing in my life.
Right. And it's again, I think because we do work in the same office every day, well, with the exception of the last 2.5 months, we
Yes.
work in the same office every day. I get to see I get to see how much you truly do love your job, but I also see how much the students that you work with reciprocate that love just because they know that you care, and whether it's some of the kids that come in just to get away from the craziness of the normal day and just sit down and talk with you about their day, or whether it's I know that done a little bit of tutoring with some kids with, some of their studies and stuff to help them get over that hump in their class. I mean, some of the things that you do, it's definitely not in your so-called job description, but I mean, it's just there truly is a love for your job and a love for the school and a love for the students, and it's refreshing for sure to be in that office with you, and I know that with your job you've got so much piled on top of you, and but it's refreshing, and you can definitely see the love that you have for your job and the school and the kids and the teachers too. The teachers that come through there on a regular basis to just chat, it's pretty cool.
Thank you.
But anyways, we'll try and stay on track
Okay.
because, as you know, me and you can get off track all the time.
Yes, yes. That I miss
Um,
that right now, too.
right? Yeah.
I miss
Uh,
that.
um, how long have you been in the county?
I started with Volusia County in August of 2005, so it will be 15 years in August.
Okay, all right. And how many kids do you have?
Biological kids, I have
Biological, right.
two, two.
And you've gotten to be with both of them there at the high school,
I have.
and that's a unique situation as well. How's that been?
Absolutely unique. For me, I've loved it for the most part. There are a few trying challenges every now and then, but I loved it. I love being able to drive into school each day with my kids and have those, 20-minute conversations on the way to school with them and even on the way home sometimes. Um, for me as a mom, if I did not work in a school, I think I would be out of touch with teenagers a little bit. It's been a blessing for me to work in a school with close to 3,000 students because you see the dynamics of what teenagers go through, how their brain works. It's helped me be a better mom. Working with my kids on campus, I love the relationship. I feel like we spend a lot of time together and we talk, and for me, it's been a blessing. If you ask my kids, maybe not so much.
Right.
But I think I enjoyed it tremendously, tremendously. It's nice knowing their teachers, not that they were really, I never had any issues with them. Thank you, Jesus. But it's nice having the teachers there. If they had a quick question or if they were falling behind, I was the first one to know about it. Um,
Right.
so it's been really great. It really has been.
Good, good. And where did you grow up at?
So I was born in Brooklyn, New York, and I lived there till I was about 10, and then I moved to South Jersey. So really, my teenage years were in South Jersey.
Okay. And were there any extracurricular or sports for you as a child?
Nope. I
No?
was one of seven growing up in my immediate household. I'm actually one of 11, but growing up, I was one of seven in the household, and I was the oldest girl. And there was a big age difference starting at like 10 years. So I was like a big sister kind of mama, and I would come home and help out around the house a lot. There was no extracurricular for me in high school. And I think it propelled me to be the mom I am, to push my kids into everything they could get involved in, because I was the exact opposite.
Okay. Which leads me to my next question, especially being that you kind of oversee all the clubs and all the extracurriculars at the school. How important do you think all the extracurriculars, whether you're talking sports or band or drama club or whatever it might be, are to a kid in the not just the everyday life of high school, but even beyond high school? How important do you think that is to a kid?
Extremely, extremely. It helps, those teenage years, they're finding who they are. It's their beginning platform, their foundation of who they're going to become. And having the opportunity to get involved, whether it be in clubs, athletics, even having a job after school. Just having the ability to socialize outside of your family network, it's huge because it helps you discover who you are, who you want to be. It builds your confidence in yourself in interacting with other people. There's multitude, of what you gain from extracurricular stuff. And, and the other thing is, not everybody's going to be a core academic student. And sometimes those extra activities propel them to do better in those things that they may not want to because it's not their strong point. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
So, we see it all the time with athletics. You have young people that are passionate about athletics and they have to maintain a GPA. So it propels them to do better in their academics because they're so passionate about a club or about a sport. So I think it's so important, it starts their network of friends. It starts, a young person gets confidence in themselves by interaction. I always tell my kids practice makes perfect. As much as you may not want to, you feel uncomfortable, you may have some anxieties, go ahead and push yourself a little by little bit. And after a while, you realize, I can remember like having to stand in front of a group of people and your heart is palpitating and you think you're going to pass out, but you do it. And then after you do it, you realize, wait a minute, it wasn't that bad. So slowly your confidence, and I can do that again, whatever it is, sports, a club, sometimes just interacting with another person. So I think it's extremely, extremely important.
Right. Right. And knowing what you know now, looking back at your high school career, are there things that you wish that you would have gotten involved in?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'll be honest, both my kids, are weightlifters. And I
Right.
never knew weightlifting was a sport. Back, I didn't know that. And had I known, I probably would have done it too. I would have gotten involved in SGA, you know. Um, yes, I would have gotten involved in tons of clubs. And yeah, absolutely. I would have gone to, sport. We didn't have a football team in my high school, but we had a basketball team. I would have made it a point to go to basketball games. I might have argued with my parents a little bit more to say, hey, I want to do this. Let me do this.
Right. Right.
So,
Okay. And right. And what is again, you're not in this stereotypical teacher setting. But what is one thing that you hope that the students get from being in a Mrs. Pearsall led activity?
um, so I would say belief in themselves, and belief in themselves and just try it. Just try. Take a step forward and just try. Whatever it is you are on the fence about, thinking you want to do it, go for it. You have nothing to lose. The world is your stage. Go out there and just try it. And guess what? If you don't like it, you mess up, there's always tomorrow. Just try it. I wish, one of the things I love about interacting with the kids is I love just kind of pushing them to just try something, and something good for themselves, to open a door for themselves that might lead them down a path that's going to bring them huge success, happiness, joy. So I would say just try, just try.
Right. And what's one of the best parts about working at university?
There's a lot of things that the kids are the biggest for me. I have to be honest. Some days you're driving into work and I want to strangle my own kids, or, you just had a bad night or something and you show up at school and you see these smiling faces. When you have close to 3,000 kids, no, they're not always going to be pleasant, but it never fails. I'll be going in and I'll have that little conversation with God and be like, hey, I need that extra shine today. And those kids can bring some sunshine to my life. They'll tell you funny stories, or they'll come in excited because they passed the test, you know, and those are the little things that matter. And then, of course, working with great people like you, seriously, because it's nice to have that interaction and that feedback and feel like you're doing something positive. So those are the perks.
Definitely. And it's funny because I ask everybody that question, and pretty much everybody has the same answer. I
Yeah.
mean, one, we know we have the best kids. I'm not trying to downplay anyone else's kids, but we have the best kids.
You do.
And just the people in general at university are just great. So, yeah. And to those people that are watching, whether it's the students or faculty or parents or community people, what would you like to say to them in this unique time that we're going through?
Hmm. First, I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you, and you are appreciated because this is a challenging time for so many of us. This is a new experience for a lot of us working from home on technology. So a big kudos and a hand, applaud to them for stepping up to the plate and meeting this challenge and being there for all of our students, administration, faculty, staff, a huge thank you to them all. It's not easy. And, we're pushing through, and I think we're doing pretty good. My next thing would be to the students, because, I have a senior at home, and it can be hard. It's hard. This is a new experience, once again, for everybody, having to be put in one place for an extended amount of time. So what I say is look to the silver lining. Don't look at the negative. Look at the silver lining. Look at what we are, the opportunities we are given. I know for me, it's not often that I slow down, and not to say I've completely slowed down, but it's nice being home and learning to appreciate things in a different perspective. So look to the silver lining in the sense, look at your positives. What has this time allotted you? Whether it's to just get in touch with yourself, what makes you happy. Like I've started gardening and I love it. Look towards the silver lining. And I know for a lot of the young people, there are silver linings, but sometimes we just don't look at it. Sometimes we get so consumed with the negative, like we're missing out on something. And really, there's something else there that you're not missing out on. You just have to take the time to see it.
Right, right. And I know that a lot of times after some of the big events, with the prom and the homecoming and some of the unique events that we do, we both like to ask kids questions just to see what their thoughts on things are. And to those kids that sometimes question those things and wonder why the theme was what it was, or why did they do this, or whatever it was. So, and to those that want input on those things, the prom and the homecoming and things like that, what would you have to say to them on how they can get involved?
I would say stop into our activities office, send me an email. I will connect you with the sponsors of SGA and the many clubs that oversee these events. And to the students, make it a point to allot time in your schedule to be involved in these clubs that put on these events so that you have a voice in all of it. SGA is a huge club, and they have a leadership class with students that have input in it. The senior class, the junior class, the sophomore class, the freshman class. It's a group of students that come together, once every other week, and they sit down and they discuss, what do we want to do for the freshman class? What sort of events do we want to hold? What sort of fundraisers do we want to have to raise money to put on these events? How do we vote on these different, whether it be the class song, the theme for homecoming? How do we vote? What are our choices? They all have a say in it. And as with a school of close to 3,000, these clubs and the attendance can be so much bigger. And I understand that students have home life and then they have school life and then some of them are working. I do. But it is a beautiful thing when, as a young person in high school, you can learn to manage your time and include being a part of a community like this. Because when we become adults, we have to manage our time. Um, and if it's something you want to do, start the habit in high school. Start managing your time so that you can manage home life, you can manage your job, which is school, you can manage if you have a job, and you can manage being involved, because involvement, it balances you out, and it's nice being a part of that. It's nice at the end when prom is done and sitting back and we pulled it off and it was a wow factor and the kids had a great time. Those students that were involved, they feel pretty good about it. So get
Right.
involved. If you don't know how to get involved, stop into my office when we open back up. Send me an email. I will connect you with the sponsors. It's very rewarding. There's not too many downsides to getting involved, other than it consumes a little bit of your time. But when you think about it, you have 24 hours in a day. A club meets for maybe an hour every other week. Make it a point and do it.
Right, right. Okay, now the hard question.
Ooh,
If you could have dinner with any four people, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
just four people?
Just
Oh.
four.
um, I think the first person would be, God. I'd love to sit down and pick his brain. So God is my first, question, first one. Um, the next person would probably be a very special lady that passed away, Grandma Frida. I would love to sit down and just have a chat with her. And she was probably the sweetest, most phenomenal woman I know. And I miss her. And just to sit down and catch up with her and share a whole bunch of news with her, I would love to sit down with her. Third person, huh? Um, uh, Goodness. Okay, my third person would have to be, I'm gonna pick a famous person, and I'm gonna say John F. Kennedy, because I'd love to sit down and pick his brain. He was a phenomenal president, so I'd probably say him, just to sit down and pick his brain. And my last person is gonna have to be my husband, because I am a mastermind of schemes. I keep our life pretty busy, and I don't think I make enough time for him, just me and him. He'll say to me, "Hey, babe, you want to go out to dinner?" And in the process, I end up inviting other people with us all the time. I'm always like, you know, doing things like, big things. And he doesn't complain. But I think I would love to just have dinner with him and regroup. As much as we spend every day together, there's not a lot of like just one-on-one time. So I'd say him.
Huh. I
Yeah.
have to say that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's definitely an interesting four for sure.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So, Chris, when you watch this, a big shout out to you and your wife for her saying that you were one of the four.
And
Um,
I see him, when he's at school, but
right,
it's different because there's always other people around. When
right,
we're
right,
home, we always have the kids. We have a big network of big kids that if we're going out to dinner and I haven't seen them in a while and they call us, I say, "Hey, join us." And then
right, right.
part of me feels bad for him, but he goes along with it all the time. He's a great guy.
Well, is there anything else that you would like to say that we haven't covered?
I think I want to send a shout out to the class of 2020, because they're my babies. My babies graduating in the class of 2020. And I just want to send some love their way and say, hey, I am super, super proud of all of you. And I'm proud that you guys are handling this pandemic so gracefully, and you are stepping up to the challenge, and you are doing your virtual school and everything you need to do to graduate. And I want you guys to know that we're working behind the scenes to make things happen for you. Obviously, we're waiting to hear, from the state and the federal guidelines and all that good stuff. But know that we are in your corners, and we are rooting for you, and we are working behind the scenes to, have some special memories for you.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much for taking the time and doing this. And I really hope that before too long, we're sitting back in that office together and solving all the problems of the world.
Right?
So, okay. Well, again, thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Have a good day.
You too.
Bye bye.